Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, it looks like Australia is attempting a ghosts. Now, apparently there's been 5 different ghost series. Now, I watched the second one, the American one, and I loved that. And then I went back and watched the British one, and while it took a little moment to adjust to the new cast, I enjoyed that just as much. But apparently 2 other countries have done one, which I had no idea. So there's more ghosts than officers, apparently. But this one, looking at the cast photos, has been announced, or actually it was announced a couple of weeks ago, honestly, and I saw this and I meant to comment on it and I forgot. It looks pretty white. The original had a black man and a white woman as the 2 people who move into the house, and the woman can see ghosts, and it's like, it turns into like a nice little family show where they're like a little family of ghosts that have been living together because they're stuck in this house, because if you die in the house, basically you can't leave, so you're just stuck there, you're stuck on the property. So you have this little melting pot of different people, different perspectives, and that's where a lot of the humour comes from. You know, like how does a Cro-Magnon or whatever relate to like a Wall Street, businessman, or stuff like that. And that's what makes it really interesting, where a lot of the comedy comes from, and it's not just lame fart jokes and just silly sitcom sort of staples and everything. It's actually we're kind of interesting. And the Australian one, no, it's basically all white people. There's one guy who looks like he might be like maybe a Chinese settler from back in the day, which maybe they might actually acknowledge the fact that we are a multicultural country, and we always were that way, and we started off with immigrants. They built the country. We back in, I think, the 40s, the government tried to establish the myth of white Australia, and they basically got rid of the immigrants that built the country and just focus on bringing in white people and just maintaining the white people, because they wanted to make a white country, like a little Britain, basically. And unfortunately, those people didn't work and couldn't do anything, and then they had to go back on that and bring in a bunch of European immigrants, and then Vietnamese immigrants, and then different African immigrants, and that's what we have. We have this multicultural country, but it always has been that way. But there are these people who believe, and they'll still argue, we want to return to white Australia, like that ever existed. It never did. What would have been really interesting is if they'd had maybe an Aboriginal character. Wouldn't it be interesting to see the Aboriginal character, their perspective? Say maybe they were there when the first fleet came and they were killed, by Captain Cook. Wouldn't it have been interesting to see how he now looks at, the other people who are in the country and the current people, and how it is now? How interesting would that be to see these different perspectives, these different people? But what do we get? Just a bunch of white people and one token ethnic person. That's it. The new boyfriend, the husband, whatever, he's white, of course, white as anything. It's just, they just whitewashed the show, and they just took anything that could have been interesting out of it, anything that could have been uniquely Australian out of it, and it's just pathetic. Now, it shouldn't shock you that this is being produced in Western Australia, or it's being filmed in Western Australia. It kicked off in Western Australia. It's sort of developed by Paramount Australia, the BBC Studios, Productions Australia, and Screen West. So yeah, it's I'm just pretty disappointed. I think it's pretty gutless. They've absolutely whitewashed it. They've stripped it of any real potential for it to be an interesting combination of people. It could have been really interesting, and I don't see it. I'm just really disappointed. And I really think they need to do more. I think with a show like this that has some element of history to it, to really acknowledge that we are a country of immigrants, and we're not a white country, and we're not, it's not white people. There is no white Australia. It never existed. Something they tried to create. Now it's this myth that people are trying to return to, and it never was a thing. So I really can't stand that. And I just feel like there's just a conscious attempt to whitewash the show and not reach the potential it could have had, with a really diverse range of ghosts from different backgrounds that really could have mixed together and had some really interesting perspectives and conflicts and that, and it would have been really, really interesting. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of, the 5th Ghosts Australia. Is this going to be uniquely Australian? Is it going to have merit, or is it going to be like the Australian Office, which I think just died? I don't think anyone watched it. It didn't really focus on anything about It wasn't specifically uniquely Australian or anything. It wasn't modern in an interesting way. It just was just really cliched and bland, and I don't think it got a second season. I don't think it survived. This is probably going to be the same. It's just IP, people just regurgitating the same thing because they can't actually think and create, and even when they have an IP, they can't do anything interesting with it. I'm going to go.